I'm Cody O'Reilly with JoinTeamHunt, sharing real stories from the West, insights from the hunt, and new ways to connect with fellow outdoor enthusiasts. Be part of the action. Subscribe to JoinTeamHunt. Rate this episode and tell a buddy, because you're not getting any younger and those mountains aren't getting any easier. All right, guys, we got JoinTeamHunt here with Roman Harvest. We got John Hogie and Daniel. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for inviting us on.
I'm stoked to have you two on, man. I've been hearing a lot about you guys and watching some videos. I just watched an elk hunt from John. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
first
That's
half of
great.
it.
That means more than our parents are watching our channel. That's good.
Cool, guys. Well, I'll just run down kind of what I know about you guys. John, you're living down in Texas. Daniel, where are you? Where are you
I'm
living?
in South Carolina near Hilton Head.
Right on, man. Looks like you guys get into quite a bit of different game. I love it. Axis deer, turkey, gators, tar, elk, pronghorn. Am I missing anything?
Man, we will hunt anything that the law
Gator?
allows us to hunt.
That's awesome. What's your favorite species to hunt?
For me, it's got to be elk. I mean, nothing beats like bow hunting elk. There's just nothing like it. Like getting in the woods with screaming bulls coming up mountains. Like, there's just, I don't know. I don't think you can beat that.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. I mean, I'm not the most experienced hunter. I haven't done it all, but there is something about waking up in that early morning and hearing those bugles through the mountains. That's just unreal.
Heck yeah, man. I'm right there with you guys. I started out Midwest, Minnesota, and I was just a diehard whitetail hunter, right? Just obsessed with it. Eat, sleep. I mean, everything that I could do to get in a tree stand to hunt whitetails, I would do it, right? And then I started hunting mule deer, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the next new best thing, right? Bigger than a whitetail. They move a little bit different, bigger racks, it seems like. And then I got into the elk hunting. I was like, I'm obsessed now. So I went from whitetails to elk, and I can't get over a screaming bull in my face. I've missed a big one it was probably a 330-inch bull in the rut in a burn out in Idaho at like 40 yards. And he was coming up after like 8 cows, and he had to turn his head to get through the trees and let out a bugle right in my face. And I've been so hooked on it ever since then. It's just, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on a very similar path where, Minnesota as well, was hunting Wisconsin whitetail. We went on a couple elk hunts, like rifle elk hunts, and it was just kind of like fun to get together with your family and go do that. But then we tried to get a rifle hunt, and our guide that we were going with couldn't get us on a rifle hunt. So he's like, you guys need to get bows and come out here. So we bought bows and had no idea what we were doing and showed up, and it was like a game changer. My brother shot a small bull on that trip, but it was unreal. And since that day, every year elk hunt is the top of the priority.
Heck yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we just had an elk video release actually just a couple days ago. It's John's elk hunt out in New Mexico, Unit 34. It's a two-part episode, man. We got into some action there. We're pretty proud of that video. It's a good one.
Yeah, I seen that action on the part 1. Is there some more action on part 2? I'm assuming as well.
Yeah, definitely. It gets
nice for sure. In an elk hunt, there's a lot of struggles in an elk hunt, typically out in the mountains. It's a lot of work, right? An elk is, quartering it all out can be over 200 pounds easy. And just the amount of preparation, the amount of gear that you need, the time of travel. How do you guys deal with some of all that hard work to have fun with it and enjoy it at times? Because it can be dreading. Especially for a new hunter. What do you guys do, or what are some of the tips and tricks to get through some of that hard work to the good reward?
Yeah, I would say you got to enjoy the suck. That struggle is I heard somebody talk about, you have 2 different kinds of memories. Like the type of memories that come easy are easily forgotten, and the type of memories that come hard are hard to forget. So those being in the mountains and struggling to get through that and finally getting into a bull or finally getting into that is so rewarding. It's something you'll never forget. And that's something you kind of always have to think about while you're kind of in that suck, and getting up, leading up to it, being in my mid-30s, I need something that motivates me to exercise and get out there and go run, put on the pack, do all that. And I think like going hunting and doing this kind of thing is a great like lifestyle as far as like staying in shape, staying healthy, eating well. It kind of forces you to do that.
I think that being on that same note, hunting with like-minded people who like that kind of thing as well. But John and I have always been really good at pushing each other, encouraging each other. A number of years ago, we worked together and we were living in Kansas City, and we were in the gym, 5 days a week, hour and a half every single day. And we both got comparably for us, we got very strong. We were very proud of what we were able to put in. And when we started hunting, we kind of carried that over, right? So we always have these like little competitions. Like we got a big, the big tar hunt, in New Zealand that we did. We knew we had to get ready for that. We knew that was going to be extraordinarily difficult. So we edge each other on, we get a little competition going, and we make sure that we're both ready by the time we get there. And when I think about that New Mexico elk hunt that I filmed for John, I mean it was incredible. But those first couple days, my body was more sore. I mean, I'm older. I'm 40 years old. That first like 10-12 mile day in the mountains, man, I was just like I was dead. And I'm carrying all this gear and cameras and stuff like that. But I look back on it, not only did I enjoyed it at the time, but the difficulty is what you're focused on. You're focused on getting it done, getting the job done. But after that, I mean, I constantly look back on that trip and I'm like, man, I want to go back so bad. I cannot wait to go back.
I mean, I agree. I'm right there with you guys. What I found out early when I was hunting elk is I was so excited. I was so amped up to get up the mountain and get hunting and trying to get after a big bull right away that I actually cut corners. I flipped my four-wheeler and crushed my ankle. And you kind of learn as you get out west and you get into some of these hunts is don't rush it. Take your time. It's all part of a process. And if you're in a hurry, I mean, there's times where, yeah, you need to get down there on a bench or in a valley to get after that bull. And there's times to hurry. And then there's times to where, no, it's going to be a while. You're going to have to put in some 8-10 mile days to get into the elk. And you just got to come to, in my opinion, you got to come to that realization that, no, it's part of the process, and you got to figure that out to really create that good balance to where you don't get injured, you're staying safe, you're picking up new trails, you're always having your head on alert. I mean, there's been times where I've literally sat down, eating a snack, and bulls have snuck up on me. Paying attention to those small little details and kind of having that balance while you're out there hunting it is a game changer in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we were out there this past year, we went with an outfitter in Medina, and he was great, and he really had that instinct, like you were saying, when to be slow, when to pause, and then if you got to make it over a draw or down a ridge line or whatever, you got to move quick. But you're right; it's 100% part of the process. Each portion of that process has its own value, and that's what creates those good memories. And every time I think about that trip, man, it's just like, well, there was with bow hunting elk, John, like as you guys know, everything has to go right. It's this culmination of events that have to line up perfectly, right? And if one of them doesn't line up, it just isn't going to happen. So you might as well just be there, be present, be in the moment, and just go with it.
Heck yeah. To find that guy that is willing to go on an elk hunt, it's not easy. I've been with a couple guys that they make it a couple miles. They're like, heck with this. I'm going to go sit in a tree stand and hunt deer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy to, and like a guy like me or like a guy like you guys, you want to go out on those hunts every single year and you want to do more than a couple of them every single year. And it's not easy to find a guy that's willing to do that or that's on that same wavelength that you guys, that us three are. I mean, that's why I built that JoinTeamHunt, this website is I'm trying to build a great community to where we have guys like the three of us that are ready to link up and go on an amazing hunt and that are on that same wavelength and understand it and are just wanting more and more. And you're not going to get out there and have a bad time with another guy to where he's left at the trailhead and you're up 5 miles in the mountains by yourself. Because I've been on plenty of solo hunts. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
finding those like-minded people is very important. And we have a couple of buddies that we duck hunt with and do other types of stuff with. But you know, a few years ago when we were talking about doing the elk hunting, we're like, okay, who do you think would go with us? And we're kind of going down the list and be like,
Yeah.
well, your brother would go. Yeah, all right. So it's really just going to be me and John. So
Yeah.
we're always looking for those other guys to join in, because you're right. It's a difficult thing, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. But for those guys who do enjoy that thing, it's the best thing out there. I mean, there is nothing better.
And I think some of those reasons we already kind of touched on it, but it motivates you for the whole year. Your diet,
Yeah.
your workout, your just the type of man or woman that you want to be out there in society. I mean, you gotta have everything in line, because if you want to go out there and be successful in the mountains or on a big time hunt, I mean, you need all that. You're relying on that when you're out there, especially when you're back in a ways, 5 miles plus or even 3 to 5 miles. I'm only way you're getting back is your 2 feet, and you better figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
that's
would say
right.
even if you're only going in 3 to 5 miles, that doesn't mean you're only doing 6 to 8. That means you're going in 3 and then you're hiking around another 3 or 4 and then 3 or 4 back out. So, 3 or 4 is always a deceiving term, and same with 5 and 10. Like
Yeah, oh, yeah.
it's never just that.
And then if you have to relocate, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but elk are big animals. And typically with mule deer, you can kind of glass them up from a ways and whatnot. Just for elk, for example, you give it a good day, day and a half, 2 days, and you kind of have a good idea. Are they there or are they not? And then you're moving another 2, 3 miles at least, or even maybe going to a completely different trailhead to relocate and get back into a different area.
Yeah, when we prepped really hard for that New Mexico trip, we also prepped really hard for our New Zealand tar trip. And it's a little bit different, right? So with the tar, we knew that it was going to be difficult. The guide told us, like, look, this is a very difficult, hunt. It's a lot of steep elevation. It's very strenuous. And he stressed you cannot come too prepared, right? And when we got there, the guide was saying, yeah, like 90% of the guys he takes out on this mountain just can't handle it. They just can't do it because they did not come prepared.
Yeah.
And the way that we did the tar hunting is we were way back in basically in the sheep land, and it was this huge valley, and you have these huge steps of mountains that are just rocketing up to the sky on both sides. And so you drive in with the gator, right, or your 4x4, and you get out and you're glassing the side of this mountain, that's just touching the sky. I mean, it's just massive. And you're looking through this spot and scope, and you're trying to find this like lightly brown patch of animal within a lightly brown patch of grass and rocks. And it's like this little pinprick on the mountain. So it took me and John a few hours just to get our eyes sighted into like what we're looking at, because we'd be with the guide. He's like, yeah, I see 5 right there and 5 right there. And we're looking like, what the hell are you seeing, man? We don't see anything.
Right.
And then you think, oh, I think that's a good bull right there, and it's like, it's this tiny, like in the spot and scope. And so you're looking at it and you're like, okay, it'll take us about 5.5 hours to get up to where he's at, but where he's at is not a good spot. So we'll have to go a little bit higher than him and then come back down to try to get a shot. And so you start on the mountain, and then, you got a 5-hour plus hike ahead of you, even though, from the ground, it's like he's right up there, but it's a long way. And we started, and, after that first day, the guide said, you guys kept up with me every single step of the way. And that just never happens. And we were dying. I mean, we were huffing and puffing, and we made some good shots, and we had a really good harvest. That was a really fantastic hunt. And that's when we decided to start the YouTube channel. But little did our dumbasses know how much work actually goes in to filming a hunt, and all that goes in with, trying to create content. But we were standing on top of this mountain, after I think I had shot my tar, and we're looking at this unreal, beautiful mountain New Zealand landscape, something straight out of like Lord of the Rings. And we're like, man, this is so cool. And you take a picture or whatever, but the picture doesn't really do it justice. And we're sitting there talking, and I think John's like, yeah, we should start a YouTube channel. I was like, yeah, let's start a YouTube channel. We're just like, not, just casually, right? But little did we know how much work was going to go into that.
For sure. Yeah, you find out real quick, and you're always trying to perfect it and add more content and put a different spin and angle on it. And it's just I've been doing it just by myself. I don't have a cameraman or anything, and it's not easy. And
Man, more power to you. That's tough stuff.
Yeah,
That's
that's
impressive
hard.
though.
yeah, I mean, I was just using my phone last year, and I got some film. It was probably like 10 minutes long, but I haven't even put it out there yet. I would like to have a camera guy this year. I got a buddy that's gonna do some filming for me, but him and I'll kind of go back and forth. I'll film him, he'll film me, and we'll get into it a little bit. So hopefully, got some better content coming out this year. But
Man, that's fantastic. Well, look, if you ever wanna get together and do some collaborations, we can help film each other.
heck yeah, I'd be all about it.
It's a learning process, right? Just like anything else, and we find out that the harder we work, the luckier we get with it.
Yeah,
Learning how to film and like keep it that was our biggest problem, like keeping the image stable and figuring out how to do things in like low light conditions and
yeah.
all this stuff that goes with it. But it's been a fun learning process for us.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I've been struggling with is just keeping it stable the whole time or as much as you possibly can. It just shakes just a
Mhm.
little bit and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gimbals help a ton, and then we've started using higher end cameras, like higher end camcorders,
Yeah.
and they have the video stabilization in them, and that helps an enormous amount.
Is that just a mode that you have to switch on?
Yeah, and we've been renting cameras for our last couple hunts from Aperture Rent, and they're like, $5,000 to $6,000 cameras, and you can switch that on. It's like a
Sweet.
much more economical way of doing it than trying to go out and buy one of those cameras.
Yeah, you sent me that link. I'm definitely gonna log into that and see if I can rent one for my Wyoming and probably my Arizona hunt.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, especially before you make that big investment, rent it a
Right.
couple times, get familiar with it, practice with it. I mean, there's still no substitute for just like I think good camera work, which is what we're still learning how to do. Our first video, our very first filmed video was in Cuauhtémoc, Mexico, and we went on the Miriam. No, is it the Miriam turkey? Yeah,
Gould.
Gould turkey. It was a Gould turkey hunt, and we had this like pretty decent camcorder, 4K Canon camcorder, like $1,600 camera. And when we went back and we watched the footage, we're just like, man, what are we doing? Like, why are we so bad at this?
Yeah, it was rough. And like the shots we were taking and zooming and stuff, it was like, this is barely watchable. Luckily, we had a great video editor.
And it seems like it's all small little things that you just gotta put a different mode on, or you gotta like with my phone, you just gotta tilt it and horizontal. Because I was trying to the other way, it's like
Now, I think as far as like filming goes, I think that the iPhones are like these, the latest cameras in 4K. They can do 60 FPS, 30 FPS, and you throw that on a gimbal. And if you're in decent lighting, right, where there's enough light for that small little aperture of the phone camera, you throw that on a gimbal. It's very lightweight, it's very economical, and it's a really easy way and high quality way to film, I think. And we've been doing that in a lot of cases. Actually, we have our turkey video coming out this spring or next spring was one that we did down in Florida for Osceola turkey. And that the iPhone did great on the gimbal, perfect. But it's going to struggle in like those low light scenarios.
yeah, that makes sense for sure.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and the videos are slowly getting better over time. The content's getting better. It's
Yeah, I can definitely tell. Like your latest videos, there's just a little bit extra edge on it, and
mhm,
it's a little
mhm.
bit more still. The lighting is and the contrast. I mean, it looks a lot sharper for sure. You guys have come a long ways. Looks great.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah,
We
for
Thank
sure.
you.
appreciate.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, that's for sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
But we've had a lot of great hunts. We've had a lot of just absolutely ridiculous moments and things that you just would never think possible. But we do have some really cool stuff coming up next year as well. We've partnered with some outfitters in Europe. So our second season is what we're calling it is hunting Europe. So we're headed over to Italy, Scotland, and Hungary. So we'll be
Wow.
In
hunting
Ireland.
in Ireland. Yeah, that's
That's
right.
awesome.
So we do Sika deer, in Ireland. That video will come out this year. We'll do fallow deer in Italy and stag in Scotland and red stag in Hungary. And it's to kind of showcase, what Europe has to offer in terms of big game hunting.
Yeah.
Because it's no secret that big game hunting out west is very very expensive.
Yeah.
And so these are alternatives. If you just want to experience that kind of thing.
Stag is on my bucket list, so that's got my ears perked up pretty high.
Yeah, I actually drew a tag in the Gila National Forest, so I'm going to miss out on Italy and Scotland, but I'll be going over to Hungary, which it kind of works out because Hungary allows bow hunting, so red stag with a bow. I'm pretty amped up about that. I'm going to go straight from New Mexico. I literally hunt in New Mexico unless I tag out early, drive back to Austin, hop on a flight, and go over to Hungary.
Heck
So
yeah, man. That sounds like the
September is going
life
to
right
be
there.
wild. Yeah, it's going to be a fun month.
Yeah,
Pretty busy.
the roar that they have, it's a unique sound that I could see why you'd get obsessed with hunting stag. I haven't done it yet, but like I said, it's on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
our first time. And they get big, man. The big game in Hungary, man, the stag in Hungary are freaking massive.
Yeah, we really tried to find, like, for us, high fence stuff doesn't do anything. So like these are all free range, free roaming animals.
yeah.
I know, like, if you go to New Zealand and some of these other countries, or even Texas, you can shoot a 500-inch red stag, but they've been bred and kind of inside a high fence area. So we're trying to find free range, kind of real hunting, if you
Yeah,
will.
that's what it's all about, man. Do it yourself,
Yeah.
public land, free range animals, embrace the suck.
Yes.
Yeah,
It just
Absolutely.
seems a little bit more rewarding to me.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. That's why we stuck to the tar when we went to New Zealand, because there was nothing about that was easy.
Yeah. There's no high fences for the tar.
When you guys were in New Zealand, did you guys spike camp in at all, or was it mainly driving in with the gator, you said, right?
Yeah, that's a funny story. Go ahead, tell them, John.
Yeah, we hunted with Four Seasons Safari, and they were great. I actually bought the hunt at an auction for Safari Club,
Okay.
and we went over there. I actually bought the hunt in 2019, and then COVID and everything else. It wasn't until 2023 that we actually got over there. And we went out with our guide, and we were staying at a sheep herding kind of house. I don't know. You can't quite call it a house, and you can't quite call it a shed, but somewhere
Yeah.
in between.
I've seen them on hunting videos.
Yeah, and you go in there and you have to take your bed and every single day pick it up and shake the mouse poop out of it and then put it back down and then crawl into it, it's a very unsettling
Yeah.
way to sleep. But yeah, you would stay there every night and then get up, before sunrise, take the gator into where you're going to hunt, and then get out. And it's like what Daniel was talking about. You're glassing up and down the mountain. And then if you're not seeing the size caliber bulls you want, then you're moving down and kind of, trying to find one that can hunt.
Awesome.
Yeah, and tar meat was really good. I mean, we took the back straps off mine, ate him at the little hut cabin hole in the wall thing. And man, it was great. I mean, I was really surprised. And they're real stinky animals too, man. I loved it. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
We kind of caped mine out. We like tied the head, to the pack, and we had to come down this huge mountain. And in some areas there's this like scree area where it's just a bunch of rock that you can kind of surf down,
Yeah.
and I had this caped out, tar on my pack. His head's like 60 pounds and his hides however much. And I'm trying to surf this wave of rock going down the mountain, because we're way up there, and I'm falling like every 10, 20 feet, and our guide is just riding it. He's done it 1,000 times and he's just hauling ass all down the mountain. And, I'm going, all of a sudden you hear me, land on my backside. By the time I get to the bottom, the back of my pants is just one giant hole where it just shredded my pants from falling so much.
Oh, that's awesome. That reminds me of last year in Montana. We shot 2 bulls at once, and then 2 days later, I shot my bull. But we were in a hellhole, to say the least. And literally, I think it was probably 1,300 feet of vertical and half mile. So it was basically straight up and straight down to this bench, and then you had to go straight back up, straight back down to camp. We had 2 bulls. That's about almost 450 pounds going up and down. But when we got all the meat up, took us a whole day. We got all the meat up. It started snowing really hard. Like you could only see probably 3 feet in front of you. And we got lost for probably 2 hours. And I finally turned my Onyx, that tracker part on, where you could finally see where you're going. And it still took me a little while, but you couldn't see anything. I couldn't pick up any landmarks, nothing. I was literally looking at my Onyx and still trying to, it was bad.
Yeah, that's rough.
We got in
Getting
a
lost
deadfall
before.
where we couldn't even, and that made it even worse. So it's like, oh my God.
Where's your favorite place to elk hunt?
Favorite place to elk hunt so far would be in Wyoming, just because of the amount of animals. I mean, they're just Wyoming, the fish and game and how they take care of their animals, the amount of tags they hand out, the whole system that they got down there is just remarkable, in my opinion. I haven't hunted Arizona yet, so that could be above Wyoming, but from what I've seen so far, I went on a little bit of a scouting trip. Yeah, Wyoming's got my heart for sure. How about you guys?
Yeah, I would say I've only hunted Colorado and New Mexico, and the amount of high quality bulls in New Mexico was like second to none. Like it wasn't even comparable to Colorado. I was hunting unit 34, which is one of the better units as well. So that helps. But I mean, every day that we hunted there, we had an encounter with a bull. Like you were in shooting distance of a bull every single day that you were hunting, which is, when the last 2 elk hunts I went on in Colorado, I had 0 opportunities. Like my brother had 1 and killed 1. So, and
Yeah.
my dad had 1 and missed 1. So it's like the amount of elk and high quality elk is in New Mexico is just, it's on a different level.
We're headed to Wyoming, hopefully in 2026. We're going to try to draw. Me, John, and John's brother are going to go up there, and we should draw. We think it.
How many points do you guys got?
Oh, 5 or 6.
5, 6, something like that.
You going for the general tag or a special tag?
I don't remember. We did it through Hunt and Fool, and
Okay.
we kind of talked with them, and they were helping us find where to go and what, all that kind of stuff. So they set it up for us.
Now, Cody? Do you go with guides, or do you try to do it on your own?
I've done it all on my own, actually. My obsession with elk is by far, like, it's an obsession.
Mm.
Like, I literally just I can't get enough of it. I listen to podcast after podcast. I mean, all the big influencers out there I've listened to. Eat, Sleep, Elk. Yeah, I'm not a professional by any means, but I have a lot of information and I've hunted elk for be right around 8 years and probably right around 10 or 11 years out west hunting with mule deer in there and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so I have a decent amount of experience and, yeah, I just, like I said, I obsess over it and it's just, I don't know, it just brings light to me, I guess.
Yeah, man, we hear you. That's one of the things that we're gonna start doing a little bit more of. Trying to do our own hunts. Not always go through the guides and stuff like that. In a lot of these cases, if we go someplace new or whatever, and we're investing a lot of money and stuff like that, we'll check out a guide because obviously your chances improve, obviously. But yeah, we really want to do it on our own. Actually, I think we've been talking about doing a pack hunt for mule deer out west. Maybe next year, if the cards line up and we can afford it, and my wife doesn't try to kill me.
Yeah, for sure. It's a benefit. I would say just for my side of it, with some of the skills that I've learned along the way is some people get into, let's say, e-scouting and they get so caught up with e-scouting and into the maps and they lose sight of a little bit of the boots on the ground, the before scouting. And just what I've experienced is, yeah, get into the e-scouting, but have a balance of kind of all these tools and don't obsess over one and really make you a well-rounded hunter and understand all of the concepts with tracking or where these elk live and the vegetation. I'm going to get a little bit into that on my scouting trip down in Arizona. If I didn't go scout for a day or two down in Arizona before opener, I would have lost 2 or 3 days just because of the boots on the ground, what I seen out there for vegetation, for the water holes. Some of them are dried up. It's been kind of a little bit more of a drier year down in Arizona. So you can't see that from the map and doing e-scouting. So it's pretty rewarding and beneficial to have some of that boots on the ground because you're not catching the whole picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, at least, that's why like outfitters have been so important for us. Like this Gila hunt, I was up in New Mexico for a pronghorn hunt earlier this year, and then I drew this Gila tag, and there's no way that I would have the time to be able to get up there, get out into the woods, and like do any amount of scouting. So when you draw one of those kind of super rare tags, I think it's well worth the money to pay somebody who knows the area to like show you. Like a guide for me isn't going to like tell me how to hunt. He's going to put me in the right spot, in the right, give me the opportunities that would take me 3-4 days of burning time to get out there and do that.
Heck yeah.
That'd be a great video, Cody. That's a great video right there. Like, showing new guy, like I'm a new elk hunter, right? You guys have lots of experience. I mean, I've only filmed an elk hunt and now I'm addicted. And I think you're right. And then I think that would be a great video to showcase, like what are some of the things that you're looking for when you're out there and you're scouting and things like that. I mean, I fell into the e-scouting trap when I first started hunting, several years ago with whitetail, as I would, be on Google Maps or on X or whatever, and I'd put all my time right there. Heck, I could just drive up 45 minutes, in the off season and start walking around. And, and that's what my dad always did. My dad's been a lifetime hunter. He's always been a good deer hunter. And he's like, and you go out there and just start walking around. I'm like, Dad, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. I got my phone, and it took me a season to figure out that that's just not the way to go about it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. That some of the reasons why we put this joint team hunt together too is to where some guys they don't have a bunch of money to pay for an outfitter every single year. And some guys will want to go on 2 or 3 hunts in a year. With building that team or having that platform to where you can connect with other people, to where, let's say you got 3 guys down and they got a Montana general tag. Well, one or 2 guys can go up there and do some scouting, boots on the ground. Well, another guy is doing a lot of e-scouting, and he can use that as your tactic advantage. And then you log on to the Zoom meetings on our website, and you guys can connect and figure some of that out. And before all that, we run background checks on everyone, so you're linked up with a decent guy. He's not gonna kill you in your tent or whatever. That's a funny story. Last year, on my way out to Montana, there was a guy that I don't know if you guys heard about this story or not, but there was a guy that got killed in, I believe it was like in his tent with an axe or something like that. And that happened to be on the other side of the mountain where I was going in solo by myself, like a week before. And they didn't find the guy before I got there. And my buddy that was meeting me out a week after sent me the message on my phone, and I was just about ready to go into the trailhead. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Pack the handgun.
Yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I had my 10 millimeter on my side at all times.
Yeah.
Would you rather have him told you that had gone down and that this is a thing, or would you have rather been blissfully ignorant?
I appreciated the heads up for sure.
Yeah.
But me so gung-ho and wanting to get in there and do some scouting, I still went. So I bared the elements. Yeah.
Well,
That's
crazy. if you'd have saw a guy with a axe or a hatchet or whatever, you would have had potentially 2 tags, an elk tag and a murderer's tag.
That was a wild story to say the least. I'm glad I didn't run into him.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about Join Team Hunt.
So yeah, Join Team Hunt, it all stemmed when I ran into a grizzly bear out in Montana on a solo hunt by myself. It was archery. First day I got there, I had 70, 80 pounds on my pack. I was going up 2-3 miles, and I had a little bit of elevation sickness. I mean, it was hitting me. I was out of breath, and I could hear 2 or 3 bulls going back and forth, bugling, and they were on a bench. I was trying to get up there. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a grizzly at like 60 yards. I reached for my bear spray. I had my bear spray. I was ready. And then I was like, oh, crap, maybe I should take a picture. Well, I didn't take a picture. He stopped and looked at me dead in my eyes, but then he continued to go. And after he left, I just sat there in shock. This is the first time I came across a grizzly, had any grizzly experience at all. And I was just like, what am I doing out here by myself? I just came across a grizzly bear. And for like the next day, I was a little bit in shock. I was shook up, and it took me a good day. But after that, I mean, I was back in the game, and we found a cabin, an old miner's cabin up in the mountains that we stayed in. My other buddy came and linked up with me after that because I was in shock. I kind of wanted to go home, but he came and linked up with me. So then we hunted for a day and then day or two, and he took off after that, and I continue hunting by myself. But that's where the whole idea originated from. Is I'm from the Midwest, from Minnesota. It's not always easy to find a hunting partner to go out west every year, and I want to go out west every year, and I want to go on more than one or two hunts. I want to do as many hunts as I possibly can, and it would be nice to have a platform like JoinTeamHunt to where you can log on there. You have 1,000, 2,000 guys that are like-minded like us, that you know they're a decent guy because their background check shows a green check on their profile. It's basically just like Facebook or Instagram. So you build it like a profile, and then it all gets linked to a mapping system with all the hunting units and a whole bunch of filters on there. So we even have a filter for, like, if you're a Wyoming resident. So if there's any Wyoming residents out there, I don't know about you guys, or if you know what a Wyoming resident can do, you can go into the wilderness areas in Wyoming and hunt with them. So you have that, and then like filming experience. If there's a guy that doesn't hunt, but he wants to film a hunt or film some of that, or if they just want to go on a camping adventure. If they don't want to go hunting at all, or if they just want to go out west and go out into the mountains and go on a camping adventure, they can log out and join Team Hunt. And we got 2 more phases coming. Hopefully it generates enough money to where I can, but there's a ton of technology out there today that I just want to hopefully get some money going on this to where I can, there's like 2 other phases that there could be some pretty sweet stuff coming. So
Yeah, that sounds so cool, man. That I really love the idea of that. I mean, that's really fantastic. We may have to use that if we need to find some guys that want to come out and take some video for
Absolutely.
us or join us on a hunt. That sounds great.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the same when you're trying to film content, right? You can't just get your buddy who knows how to use a camera to come
mhm.
hike, n number of miles in the mountains with you. That's just not going to happen. You got to have somebody that is into that thing and they know what they're kind of signing up for.
Absolutely, and you watch even, like, guys like Randy Newberg last year. I mean, he had to film his, I think there's a hunt or 2 that he filmed by himself because he just didn't have a camera guy at the time, so he had to go out there and make do with what he had, and you could
Yeah.
tell it wasn't anything like his previous hunts with when he had a camera guy. I mean, it's not at the same level.
No, it's very different having somebody. Daniel and I have found that out through numerous hunts where if you have a camera guide as well, you're focused so much more on what you're doing, whether that's, stalking in on an animal or building a tree stand. When you're trying to self-film and do something, it's really hard to do both well. And one ends up, not working out as well as the other.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's the multitasking myth. I did have a grizzly story. So many years ago, before I really gotten into hunting, I was backpacking in the St. Elias Wrangell National Forest in Alaska. Me and my good buddy from college, we took a bush plane out to this top of this mountain, basically this flat area. We got dropped off and we had like a 50-mile hike to the rendezvous point, 6 days later, whatever it was, when we get to fly out. And we land in this like soft mist, it's real cold, this like soft, cold, misty rain. And about like 10 steps in, we see this just giant, grizzly bear print in the mud. And we're like, okay, cool, that's fine. We didn't have any firearms on us. We did have some bear spray and we had bells on our trekking poles, so you make noise, whatever, so
Yeah.
that you don't sneak up on them. And in case you're downwind or whatever. The about the second or third day, it just snowed like crazy. And on the 4th day, we were sitting in this valley and we were eating lunch. We're sitting on top of our bear containers, using our bear containers as a seat. We're sitting there, we're eating our dehydrated meals or whatever. And all of a sudden my buddy's like, "Oh, there's a bear." Look over about 500 yards away, there's a mama grizzly bear and her cub kind of just going up the side of this mountain, this real steep mountain. And she saw us obviously way before we saw her. And she was looking back at us, making sure we weren't, getting anywhere close to her or whatever. And she and this cub were just running up this mountain. And I remember sitting there thinking, I cannot believe an animal that big can run up that mountain that fast. I mean, she and that cub went up that mountain in 30 minutes. What would have taken me an hour and a half. And it was wild. And these weren't like giant Kodiak grizzly bears, But the funny part of this story is my buddy after that was a little bit freaked out. It's sort of that human condition. You don't know how you would react when you see something that could literally just eat you. And it's a unique discovery of yourself, right? And that fear aspect. But anyway, for the rest of the trip, he wouldn't even take a shit by himself. He'd go off. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take a shit. I need you to keep an eye on me." I was like, "I'm not watching you shit, dude. You're gonna be fine."
Man, oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, like you said, when you come across something that could eat you just like that, and it's that powerful, that quick, and like in my situation, he stared me down for a couple seconds. I mean, you do things that you don't even think about. Like I was in shock. Like I couldn't even move
Yeah.
for like an hour. It's like it's a unique
Yeah.
situation to say the least.
Definitely. I think we have these ideas of like what we would do in that situation. Oh, I would draw my pistol and, fire a warning shot, or, if I'm
Right.
getting false charge, I would do this or do that. But man, none of those plans are going to work out. It's going to happen the way it happens, and your body is going to react in a way that you're not going to be able to predict. You might pull your gun, or you might just let out a shrill scream before you get mauled.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What surprised me was how quiet they are. Like when
Yeah.
he was moving through that, you couldn't hear a pin drop. I mean, they're very freaky. I mean, how quiet they can be throughout the. It's weird.
And I've always heard stories that, in times of when the animal, like a bear or something, is really hungry, right? There's not a lot of available food sources for whatever reason. Obviously, normally they wouldn't see a human being as a food source. But I guess in some instances that maybe that changes, right? If there's not enough food, this bear's starving, whatever the case may be. I think obviously the worst case scenario is to surprise a bear, come up on him when he can't hear you or smell you. But I have heard the stories that, when a bear looks at you in a certain way, like in the eye, in with the eyes of like predation, right? They look at you as a food source.
Right.
Apparently, I've heard stories that is a much different look than when a bear looks at you, as another thing walking right there.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. Especially down here in the states, like up in Alaska, you can hunt them, so they're a completely different bear than Montana, Wyoming, right? Where you can't hunt them, and they're not as scared of people by any means.
Yeah. I would love to do an archery grizz hunt. I mean, it's just so expensive, man. It's just I gotta wait. I gotta wait till Roman Harvest takes off.
Yeah.
Heck yeah,
Those $30,000 hunts are a little bit out of reach.
A little out of
yeah.
reach for us. That's all right.
Same here. I agree. Right there with you.
But we're gonna be doing some whitetail hunting up at John's dad's property this year. We're really looking forward to that.
Nice. Where's that at, John?
Up in like just south of Superior,
Okay,
Wisconsin.
cool.
Yeah, Outdoors for Less sent us a bow condo, and we put that up
Yeah, I seen
about a
that.
month back. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, you guys got a whole website, right? And then you got some gear on there, and you got, of course, your hunting shows and whatnot. Is there anything else that we're missing?
Social
Just the
media.
regular socials. Yeah, I got
Social media.
Instagram, TikTok. We got on the TikTok bandwagon. I can't have it on my phone. I'll just doom scroll through it. So I can't have any of that on my phone. But the TikTok one is interesting, right? It's such a weird game. Like we put all these shorts out there, and we're like, oh man, this one's gonna do great, and it gets like 150 views or whatever. And we're like, what's going on? That's a great video, guys. Come on. But then like there'll be this one random video that doesn't make really any sense. Like the short is like nonsensical, and it'll get like 40,000 views. And we're like, why?
Yeah.
What is going on? There's this one little
That's
clip
funny.
of a gator video when we were down in Florida. We were filming a gator hunt for this dad and his son, which was a great experience. And this guy, the guide's talking about the treble hook and how you want to hook the gator and stuff like that. And for some reason, that TikTok little short just blew up randomly. It was weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, and funny enough, we couldn't we were trying to set up TikTok in the US during that time it was banned. So we actually had to wait until we were in Ireland and then set up our TikTok while we were in Ireland so that we could have it when we came back to the US.
Boy, though, speaking of guys that like to go up the mountain, man, we partnered with Irish Safaris in Ireland. This guy named Norman Mulvaney in Ireland. And dude, this guy was a billy goat, man. I mean, John and I weren't in the best. I mean, we weren't in bad shape, but we didn't like super prep for it, like we did in New Mexico or New Zealand or whatever, just sort of the weekend warrior kind of thing. And man, we're hiking up these mountains in Ireland, and freaking Norman would be, half a mile ahead of us just nonstop. And this dude was full out 100 miles an hour all the time. And we couldn't believe it. I've never met anyone like that in my life who could do it for that long and that consistently.
Yeah, when
Did
we
he have
got up,
long legs?
no,
No,
doesn't have
short legs?
doesn't have that build. He's just like, that's his
No.
life, is doing that.
just
Like when we got
that's
up
just
to where we found deer, I was literally like about to puke. I was hands on my knees, like sucking wind, and he's like, "You can have a heart attack after you kill him." And we're like, she's like putting the gun down. I'm like trying to get ready to take a shot. Dude, it was raw.
it was no breaks, man. He has no breaks. But that was a great experience too, man. Like, who would have thought you could go over to Ireland and hunt big game? And Sika deer, Sika stag are gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful animals. The meat is incredibly good. I mean, it is.
Is it good?
Yeah.
It was just unreal good. And we
Wow.
shot a few on the mountain, and we had to drag them out of there. They don't field dress them out there. So you do field dress them, excuse me, but you drag the whole animal out, however far you went in, there's no quartering it and packing it out or anything like that. And we're on these, coming down this mountain, and everything in Ireland on this mountain is wet, even at the very top when you think it would be like water runs down. No, it's a bog all the way up to the top, and there's all this undulation and holes and stuff like that. And we're dragging these animals, and I got one, and John's got one, and Norman's got one. And I think Norman gets back to the truck like 45 minutes ahead of us. And we're just huffing and puffing, dragging ours behind us, But that was a beautiful country, man. It was so beautiful, and the people there were so great. We had a great time, man. And I didn't really know anything about what to expect in Ireland, but man, it's a place I would definitely go back to.
I'll have to put another one on my bucket list now, talk with you guys.
Yeah, you got to put it on there. And relatively speaking, it's not overly expensive. Like some of these out west hunts, with these big game areas and some of these tags. I mean, it's just out of our league, right? It's out of me and John's league. And but like some of these Europe hunts are not. They're well within reason. You can get a flight over to the UK for about $500 or $600 from the East Coast or so. You
How
pay
are
a
the
couple.
tags out there?
They don't do tags in Ireland. It's just
Really?
it's just you shoot as much as you're willing to carry out, pretty much,
Yeah.
isn't it?
No, I think Norman had a certain allocation, like outfitters get allocation. So you just have to go through the government website and sign up and show your gun safety. And then your
That's
guide,
right.
your outfitter sets you up with like, hey, here's how many you can shoot. Here's the package that you're set up with, that kind of thing. But yeah,
Okay.
it's not like drawing a tag in the US, like even in, Scotland, Hungary, and Spain or Italy, it's the same thing where your outfitter has tags allocated to him from the government, and then you pay him for those.
Nice. The outfitter price, not too bad.
No,
like
not bad at all. I think the Sika deer, John, was like 2,000
2,500.
euros.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 2,500 euros.
Okay.
Something like that. And you'll have a time, man. You go to it's this little town called Hackettstown. It's just this little tiny Irish village, and he'll take you over to the local pub, and you'll meet everybody there who's either related to everybody or knows everybody or whatever, and you spend a night drinking some pints with them, and get up early in the morning, go hunt some Sika, and then in the end we made a little fire out in the woods, and we made some backstrap shish kebabs over the fire, man, and they were incredibly good.
Being Irish and all, that sounds right up my alley. I better go do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We got a little bit lucky that the day we arrived, the next day was rained out. So we spent that Friday night at the pub until I think we got back home about 4:30 a.m. I would not recommend doing that if you had to hunt the next day. We got lucky and didn't have to hunt, but you can get yourself into trouble.
Yeah, you sure can. And it's funny because like New Zealand is a totally different ball game too. Like New Zealand has like no native land mammals, and so everything over there is sort of an invasive species. Of course, your high fence stuff is like genetic breeding and all that good stuff. But I don't know if there were any specific limits on tar other than the price tag.
Yeah, I don't remember for New Zealand.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different story. New Zealand takes forever to get to. I mean, just
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
The flight is
long way away.
How many hours is that? Do you remember?
13, 15,
No,
something like that.
I think it's more
Man.
like 16. Yeah, I think it's like
Is it?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we flew from Houston. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about 16. But Europe's not bad. You know, you can get over to John. How long did it take you to get to Ireland?
I don't know what that was. It wasn't long. It was 5-6 hours.
Yeah,
It's a good, like, you lay down and sleep and then you wake up and you're there and you're good to go.
yeah, yeah. So very very similar going coast to coast in the United States. My flight got I missed my original flight, so I had to get on a new flight and I had to go through France or something like that. So it took me a bit longer. Tell us one of our funny hunting stories, John.
I think we're just about at an hour here. I think we probably should wrap up.
That was a quick hour.
It
Yeah,
was a
it went
quick
by
hour,
quick.
that's for sure. Probably gonna have to have part 2 one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe we follow up after hunting season. We can do another one and we'll
Oh,
both be up. You know, if we wanted to do it in person, Cody, we'll both be up hunting. We'll fly into MSP, but we'll both be up there the first week of November if you're around.
I will be down in Arizona then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can
So
do another one of these after that.
yeah, for sure. We can, just do it like we're doing now, or if there's a time to where it makes sense, link up in person after that. Be down for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
How many hunts do you guys got left this year?
I have New Mexico elk, Hungary, and then Wisconsin whitetail, and then I'll probably do some duck hunting as well. Daniel's got what?
I got fallow deer, Italy, red stag, Scotland, red stag, Hungary, whitetail, Wisconsin with John. And then I also just a couple days ago I found out in South Carolina I drew a tag for a game management area that only awards a certain number of tags. I had like 4 points I think, and I drew that, and it's got a good whitetail population. So that's like a 3-day hunt or 4-day hunt. So I have that as well.
You guys are jam packed. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Jam packed. You know, it's so funny. John and I we've been talking about it. We have not taken a vacation to do anything other than hunt in so long. You know, because we're trying to make content, and obviously we love it. I mean, it's great. But to get the content that we're trying to look for, we're trying to really build this channel. We're trying to really put out some really really entertaining, fun stuff. And in order to do that, you got to be out there.
Well, yeah, that's the name of the game. Get more content, get better at it, and keep going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's been great though.
That's awesome, guys.
Well, thank you for having us on, Cody.
Thank you for being here. Well, you got your website, you got Instagram, social media, anything else that I missed?
No, I mean, just Google Roman Harvest. Check out our YouTube. It's kind of our bread and butter there.
We're missing that sugar daddy angel investor that we need.
Sounds like all 3 of us got one thing in common. We're diehard hunters and we like to get after it, and we're on that same wavelength to make it happen out there.
Yeah, dude, we love it. Anytime we can link up with you, we're gonna check out your platform there. That's a really great idea. I love that. I never would have thought of that, but that's just like $1 billion idea to me. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
We got more than that. I mean, we got videos on there to how you can utilize each team member, their strengths or weaknesses through the profile build out, tips, tricks. We got a whole checklist that I've used with my 10 years of hunting out west. All the items that I basically have used to where you can just download that and have a checklist built into your phone, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm missing a handful of things, but yeah, there's quite a bit on there. It took me a whole year to build my website. Designer was about ready to get rid of me at one point, but especially putting all the hunting units in the 11 states that we have right now. He was about fed up with me, but we kept him going. We got it completed.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Cody, thanks so much for having us on. It was great talking to you.
Absolutely. It was great talking to you guys, and we'll stay in touch, and excited to hear what your guys' hunts bring this year, and hopefully you guys have great success. Get some more outstanding content out there.
Yeah, you too, bud. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Yep. That's a wrap for this episode. Remember to stretch those legs, scout new trails, and share Join Team Hunt with a friend. The next story with that ultimate team is just around the bend.